So I think now is an important time for us to be discussing the Constitution because of so much of the trouble that we're starting to see that are going through the U.S. and particularly here. I think for me, one of the biggest issues that I've been trying to deal with is how our Constitution even works. We have so many debates, and this has been the case for a long time, on what exactly the importance is on the separation of the powers and what the purpose is for our constitution is, and is it even up to date anymore. And so that's a really big issue. I mean, we have changed as a country, and we have been changing for a long time. I think those changes are starting to pile on top of one another even more right now, and having a place to stand, to be able to talk to one another about that foundation that we have in the Constitution is really important. I mean, most of us have no idea what the Constitution is for, what parts it's made of, and so I think being able to talk about it with multiple generations, younger, older, who all have a different point of view about it, really makes a difference right now. The thing that connects us all to the Constitution is one of those things that is where so many of the arguments come from. So, being an African American, there's a lot of belief still that a lot of the Constitution does not apply to me. And it is both irrational on one hand, I know that it's not true, and yet on the other hand, it sometimes feels that way. But I still know that those are the things that we're trying to base our society on. I think having that set of rules, not just rules, but I think that code between all of us is the way that we're supposed to feel safer with one another, knowing that if I walk outside, the world will be a particular place. I'm not saying that speaking of the Constitution, I'm not saying that the government has to give us rules for everything that we do, but that code and that feeling is supposed to be there so that we can all feel safe, and know that if something does go wrong, that there will be repercussions for it. And right now, many of us don't feel that way anymore. So I think that's the thing that really connects us. So I think some of the things that I've been seeing happening in our community, well, almost in anticipation of this, we get to see the Confederate soldier pulled down in front of the courthouse. And that's one of the things that caused me more concern, actually. I was very proud of it when I first saw, and jealous that I wasn't there. And then there was another part of me that, talking about this code, thought, but that's not how we're supposed to act. If it is an important thing to take down, then there should have been a better way to go about it. So, I'm living in this place now where I feel both happy and disappointed, and I start to see that a lot. So I used to be in the military and I was security police, so I know that our police officers have a very difficult job, and in fact, I have quite a few local police officer friends, and yet I still feel that they aren't doing quite enough to protect us over themselves. I think that they need to protect themselves, but not more than they need to protect us. So I feel that the upswing in police violence is not justified. And then the same thing with all of the riots that are going on. It's people who have a real cause, but people that are just going about it in the wrong way. Now, even though it is the wrong way, it may be the only way sometimes, because unfortunately, sometimes our government doesn't listen to us, and so we have to be able to take matters not necessarily into our own hands, but we do have to make sure that our voices are heard. And if no one will listen, sometimes we have to get louder. And this is where the big problem is, like, which is right and which is wrong. And it would be great if we could point the finger at one person and say, if this person did better, everything would fall into place, but it just doesn't. I think it takes all of us, and I think the Constitution would be a big part if we all understood how that worked.